This week, in line with current BBC exhortations, I have been seeing for myself a particularly effective choice of words, I think you'll agree, for radio, and indicative of the current weighting the BBC gives it in relation to telly. And if you remember this time last year, like a dose of salts to top management when Michael Gray took it literally. He went to C4 himself. That's right, Mr. and Mrs. Look sharp and listen good now. Here's your chance to see how the BBC really works. Copper, put your look at that one. An astonishingly accurate reconstruction of a post-war, not on your Nelly unless I see the questions for myself first, type of political interview. It's the Deflector General and his chairman, Hopalong Hussey. They're talking to Sue Lawley. I say, speak up, men. We want to hear what you say. Right, well, I'm here to say nothing new. And I'm here to back up everything he says, to say, if I may say so, a lot, if I may say so, and most importantly of all, to make up for his rather embarrassing regional accent.
And I'm here to make sure I get Terry Wogan's job. Good night.
And now here's David Hatch to say something really stupid.
At this point, I'm exactly like the Mother Superior and Sage, none the wiser. You've been listening to I'm Sorry I'll Read That Again, featuring some people very famous for being funny, and also featuring David Hatch, who has sadly had to plump for head of radio instead, although he still wishes he was an actor, but he just isn't good enough. Still, that means now, as part of See For Yourself, we can show a film called David Hatch is a Good Bloke.
Well, of course, I went to university in Cambridge, and I haven't looked back, really. It accounts for my...
Oh, God's newt.
Snobbery, and...
I sincerely remember being less bored by listening to the entire contents of the hit LP. Now, that's what I call the shipping forecast, 78 to 83.
I walk in, and I have
I yawn, and I begin to fall asleep in a Saturday night theatre kind of way.
Oh, dear me. Oh, gosh, I feel tired.
Because you can't see me,
Gosh, I feel tired.
I'm forced to communicate my fatigue vocally by emitting the most embarrassing, appalling and unconvincing series of grunts and groans. Shh, I'm asleep. Until I nod off and save the Sunday ratings. Shh, good Lord, I'm asleep. How entirely dull telly boosts ratings by inducing sleep, super ipso facto. Take the 6:30 regional television news slot. After half an hour of video mogadon consisting of cats up trees and counsellors vying pathetically for television coverage, the whole audience is comatose. This means they can't get up to turn the telly off, which means that in millions of homes throughout the country, Wogan or even tomorrow's world stay on, which, let's face it, is the only conceivable reason why they register in the figures in the first place. 3 weeks later, I wake up and switch on Radio 2.
And a very good morning. You're listening to Radio 2.
Oh, God. Immediately back in Second Old City, I'm merely doing a very fine impersonation of every last member of the Radio 2 audience, consisting entirely, as it does, of the intensely masochistic, chronically insomniac, and the crumbly, swollen, and inflamed dotes in twilight homes where they've forgotten how to switch it off. Suddenly, I'm in the Twilight Zone. I'm a Radio 2 announcer in the Lynx Library. I'm turning the well-thumbed pages of the classic manual entitled And Talking of Alzheimer's. I alight purely at random on suggested organ transplant introductions for Paul Anker's Put Your Head on My Shoulder.
Well, in answer to your question, Sue, blah, blah, blah.
Meanwhile, back in the studio, Sue and the lads are discussing the relative merits of Radio 3 and Radio 4.
Undoubtedly, it's the gaps on Radio 3 that are of the highest quality.
Caller A is worried about the possible cutbacks in the gaps on Radio 3, the best gaps in wireless. Caller B insists that the pauses on Radio 4 are best because of its outstanding news service. The truth? See for yourself. Gap 1. Radio 4. Gap 2. Radio 3. Spot which was better? Well, clearly it was Radio 3, because Radio 4s usually only occur when the announcer has cocked up with all the ad-lib dexterity of the Queen's speech and ran out of things to say, whilst Radio 3s are 1, quite deliberate, 2, often actually announced, and 3, 7 times more expensive. Middle C, F sharp G. I tune through my dial in search of something altogether cheaper and less demanding than silence.
Okay, and really great music in a genuine sense.
Huh?
Let's talk herbal tea now and Eric Clapton. Remember shoulder-length hair? We're talking 60s drug catch.
What the hell am I on?
These days, I just stick my flares into my cowboy boots and nobody notices.
This guy's really sick.
Okay, as promised, let's talk about how to knit your own half-baked religious philosophy.
Must be that news station the papers keep giving the wrong name.
I'm Johnny Walker. We're talking...
Oh, yeah. I suppose that narrows it down to GLR, music radio for grown-up and balding hippies. Or could be the Superstation. In the end, I conclude I've stumbled across a 12-inch mix of the advertisement for Ronco's Hippie Tunes for Velvet Loons LP, currently enjoying an extended run on Radio Albania's hit show Friday Night is Beatles Wig Night. I'm in a minority, though, because all the other listeners are tripping out on nostalgia.
Don't you remember this?
Remembering the heady days of good old pirate Radio London. I yawn again in anticipation of yet another cliched dozing off scenario. Nothing more than a clumsy tool for a scene change, really. Good Lord, I was right too. I'm fast asleep, and in my dream, I'm Michael Jackson. It's not pleasant. I have to bathe in bleach. I live on a strict regulated diet of 1 pea per day. I have done to my head what Filipinos do to shrink them, only it's kept on my body. And up the back passage, I have a 5,000-volt cable direct from the national grid. My squeals are further enhanced by a pair of remotely controlled false teeth clamped firmly to my personals. And to make things even worse, I'm in front of 100,000 people singing I'm Bear.
Michael Jackson there and Bad, and this is a breakfast show with, I can't remember my name till I've heard the jingle anyway, but,
Suddenly I'm being back announced by a DJ who wouldn't even run an aphid a close second in the intellectual stakes.
Anyway, Michael Jackson's really mad because he's got a monkey!
Oh, God. I realise that I've tuned into Radio Bimbo for their breakfast show, hosted by...
Mayo! Simon Mayo! Daylight come and you wanna drink paraquat. Oh, that's right, I'm Simon Mayo. Hello, and here's a bimbo to read the travel news. And to tell us what she did last night. And why you're wearing the same clothes as yesterday. You're so mad! I'm so mad! I'm mad and zany and...
So mad and zany, in fact, that just after the newsreader has announced a story about a plane crash, they ask him to yodel. What is this? The Simon Mayo Breakfast Show with 2020 news. 20 is the number of minutes between each bulletin. 20 is the IQ level at which it is aimed. And shortly 20 will be the number of people left listening. Yes, Simon Mayo is the man who put the S in hit radio. So, Mr. Checkland, can you tell us about repeats? Meanwhile, back on the box, an impersonation of Legs Lawley is tackling the Deflector General on the tricky subject of repeats. Repeats all the time. We're cutting down on repeats all the time. We're cutting down on repeats all the time. An extract from your last choice, a collaboration between yourself and Philip Glass. Michael Checkland, thank you very much for letting us hear your Desert Island Discs. It's been a pleasure, Sue. Well done. Dukey, phone Wogan. Tell him it's Articles of Faith 15 minutes on Sunday mornings or nout.